Tonight, a changing of the guard for the Portland FBI. Kieran Ramsey, the special agent in charge of the Portland field office, has been promoted to an assistant director position in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, big promotion for him. Earlier this week, I had the opportunity to sit down with him one-on-one before he takes on this new role. And after serving around the world in cities like Boston, Rome, Cairo, and Seattle, his perspective on Portland proved to be enlightening. What kind of challenges does Portland present compared to those other cities?
So I got here at a really tough time. And it wasn't just tough for the FBI, it was tough for law enforcement as a whole. I came here out in a temporary duty status during the summer of 2020 to help the office out, and then turned right around really at the new year to come out here permanently. And this office was greatly impacted both by COVID and the summer of 2020 events, as was the rest of law enforcement, as was the rest of public service. So to kind of take a look at where things were, because we have an important mission. Doesn't matter what's going on at any time, we still have to do a lot of things to prevent a lot of bad things from happening out there. And one of the things I looked at right away was, okay, we need to make sure our partnerships don't suffer as a result of what went on with COVID in 2020 and everything else.
You mentioned 2020 in Portland and the challenges that law enforcement has faced. At the same time, it's been challenging to get new recruits into law enforcement. Never been as challenging, perhaps, as it is now. And there's never been a time when it's been so needed to have high-quality candidates. How concerned are you about that, and how do you fix it?
I think I share the concerns of every law enforcement leader out there, be they here in Oregon or elsewhere across the U.S. The fact is, I think the nobility of the career of law enforcement took a hit. Perhaps it took a hit rightly so in terms of making sure that we are really listening to the community. It really is incumbent upon the FBI to help lead the way for all of law enforcement to reestablish that this is a noble profession, that there are a lot of good people that do this profession. The vast majority every day do it in the right way for the right reason.
In recent weeks, we've seen increasing calls by some groups saying that resistance is justified at all costs, basically justifying unrest, vandalism, even violence if it serves a cause. Has that been something recently that has activated the radar here in this office?
Yes, in short. But again, it's not something that we're not unfamiliar with, right? When we go back to the summer of 2020, the same thing was being said, right?
Yeah.
You know, whatever the cause that was attached to it, and that, you know, there were plenty of people, thousands of people, that legitimately and lawfully exercised their First Amendment rights to decry the murder of George Floyd. That happened halfway across the country, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was a group of, let's say, 100, 200 people that, no, they were going to use that as an excuse to go burn, to vandalize, to assault police officers, to assault people on the streets, to commit massive property destruction. Now we're seeing it rise up again. Maybe it's under the banner of the Israel-Hamas conflict, and on either side saying, you know, we're going to go do this or that. And again, our concern is never the lawful exercise of First Amendment rights. If you want to go out there and scream your head off and protest this or protest that, fantastic. Our only concern in the FBI is when you threaten violence or actually go out and commit violence.
You are moving on to D.C., a major promotion. Again, congratulations. Your thoughts, a message perhaps that you would like to share with the people of Portland and also your colleagues here in this office?
You know, I've been so proud to work alongside these folks here. The folks in my office are just some of the most dedicated, hardworking, patriotic civil servants I've ever come across. And it truly has been my greatest privilege in my career to be head of this office and to work with so many great partners too. And I know that I'm going to continue to call Oregon home. You know, my intent is to do this assignment and then eventually retire back here because I love this state. I really do. I love the quality of life. I love being in the metro area and being an hour and a half to the mountains to go snowboarding, an hour and a half to the coast. It really is a place that I can't recommend enough. When people talk about, hey, I'm thinking about going to this office in the FBI or this division, I'm constantly saying, no, you should come here. You're missing out if you don't come here.
That really says something. You know, we had a recent survey by DHM Research indicating that a large majority of Portlanders said that if they had the opportunity, they'd leave if they could. But here you are, you've served in all these different cities, yet out of all that, you've chosen Portland as your home.
I've chosen to call this area my home, yeah. And it's perhaps because I've lived all over the world and lived all over the country. And it's not to say these other places aren't great and they have their strengths and everything, you know, but I see the quality of life for what it is. You know, fine people can disagree with me, but, you know, I think I have the track record of other places to compare it to.
You certainly do. And we thank you for your service.
Thanks very much, Peter. I greatly appreciate it.
And the FBI has not yet named a successor in the Portland office, but we're told that process is underway. Meanwhile, we'll have that full interview with Ramsey posted later this evening at kptv.com.